Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of GameGuru MAX live broadcast number 87, and I would like to show you a little bit more about the rapidly diminishing internal development of GameGuru MAX as we go hurtling towards the release on the 25th of March. This broadcast will be split into two sections. The first one will be a demo, me demonstrating something from GameGuru MAX, and the second part is a Q&A, a questions and answers session where you get to ask your questions. Now you can ask those questions right away, put a question mark at the end so we can spot them. We have assistants during this live session, and in the live chat we have team members circling around, and if they know the answer to your question, those answers will be provided. And then when the Q&A session starts, if there's any questions that couldn't be answered, those questions will be repeated, and so I can read them from the top. And I will just start from there. I won't try and go back and read questions that already have answers. So before I go any further, just want to make sure everyone can hear me okay and fine. Everyone can hear me, that's great, wonderful. Well, let's launch the software and get stuck into this. So, what I'd like to show you first is the increased population of the GameGuru MAX Early Access version hub. As you can see, we now have all 9 demo games ready for you to play. If you're a pre-order user, you can play these on Friday. If you're not a pre-order user, 9 days from now you'll be able to play all these, and they're all very different. There's some that we've created internally and some that we have received as third-party contributors. You'll also notice that we've color-coded them. So the greens at the top are the ones that are the easiest to create, albeit it might take a while. And then the yellow ones, which is a little bit more advanced because there's some interesting things, maybe a bit of customization that went on. And then the red level, the most challenging level, let's say, where there's quite a lot of stuff going on, customizations and little secret tweaks, etc. And you could equate these to sort of the standard user mode, and then you've got the advanced mode, and then what we like to call the developer mode. So green, yellow and red denotes those 3 stages. And as we move forward, adding more demos to the hub, we'll use this color code system. So it gives you a very quick idea of which ones do you think you'd want to tackle first in terms of editing the demos or creating a version of your own. And then as you get more familiar with GameGuru MAX, you go on to the more advanced ones. So the thing I want to show you today, this demo, it's called Foggy Forest. This was a contribution. And as you can imagine, it's set in a forest, and this forest is foggy, and it is literally crammed to the rafters with zombies. And we're going to play this through. Now, I've played it through twice, right? So I'm not hugely familiar with exactly what's going to happen. And I've noticed that the storyline changes. I went to the character and then another character that didn't say anything before said something. So it's like, I don't know, maybe this is a non-linear, which is why it's an advanced one. So I'm just going to play through the game, and just to give you a heads up now, we're not entirely finished with the AI, both for soldiers and for zombies. If you see little things here and there, those are the things that we're still tweaking and polishing and working on. So I'm going to play through this game. It's quite a long game, so hopefully we can get it done in a reasonable amount of time. And I will be doing a lot of running away from zombies just to preserve my sanity. So let's go. Let's do this thing.
Hey you look like a real hero. Listen, we got a zombie apocalypse going on. Can you please save the world just this one last time? Thanks in advance.
Okay, let's save the world. You don't want me to save the world, do you? Okay, let's go. Now I already know there's zombies out here around here somewhere. Yeah, so I'm not really going to engage them. I want weapons. I want good weapons. Okay, I already know there is. Yeah, there's a cache of weapons up here. Let's see what we do with this guy. So you see what I mean? It's okay, but I want guns. Rats. This is where I know there's guns. Okay, shotgun. Shotgun. And I think, yeah, snub nose. Okay. Yeah, you might think it's pretty tame. It gets it's getting more difficult. As these are my easy shots, I'm just getting in the practice. Okay, so what I learned, because this is quite a large level, it's kind of keep going up. So if the path goes up, up is, oh, here we go, faster. As I said, it just warmed up. They're silent and they're fast. And I think before this day is done, we can maybe put some more sound effects, some more zombie, creepy, maybe some incidental musics as well. This would be great. Obviously, lots of things we can do, and a game is an iterative process. But I think it's a great. Oh, this is a great start. Die. Reload, reload. Okay. Ah. Tell you what, I knew they were coming, and it still freaks me out. You go. You go. Okay. Shotgun, very useful. Now, easy. Easy. There is an assault rifle in here. Oh no, there's grenades. Assault rifles in here. Yes. 80 ammo, is that all we got? Any more ammo? Hey you, get out of my way. Okay, as I said, up is forwards, so let's carry on up the hill. Tower. Now, I just happen to know there's a lovely, lovely weapon up here. Sniper. I'm going to lock it into that mode. How many, yeah, let's get back to shotgun. Close range. Reason I like this, oh, by the way, oh, they get up, they have regenerative powers, these zombies. Yeah, I've made the shotgun more powerful. It's great now. If you get really close, it's an insta kill. Now, which way's up? I think this is up. We're going up. Okay, building. Barrels. Oh, I love barrels. Okay, where are we? Anything interesting? I think all this building's sealed up, and that's the up direction, so we'll go there. Just make sure there's no fast zombies chasing me. In fact, I'm going to switch to... Yeah! Good job, I got 500 health. Get out of my way. Right, which way was up? Okay. Silent but deadly. Ha. Okay, buildings. What am I looking for? That's the way up. I don't think there's anything around here apart from a lot of zombies. Don't reload. Yes, owned. Okay, I like slow zombies. Snub nose. Shoop. You will run away. What do you think? Thank you for taking my time. Okay. Not much ammo left in that one. Oh. Yeah. Is this my sniper one? Yeah, it is. And I also souped up the sniper as well. Watch this. Exploding zombies! Actually, I didn't even know GameGuru MAX could do that. Someone's managed to get a zombie that explodes. That's awesome. Another exploding zombie. Okay. Another abandoned building further up. Anything interesting around here? Boon! And key. I'm pretty sure that key is going to be very important later on. So, up here, what should we do? Hey! We shall try not to die after the hill. Oh, don't. As I see, these, it's the patrol rifle, very, very powerful. So, exploding zombies. Straight. I'm using all the please. Knife's no good. Run. Oh, don't die, please don't die. I need to finish the game. Wow. I didn't die, but I killed literally all the zombies, which is great. And I happen to know that that's a lovely little watchtower. You can look down on all the zombie world, but the key, open this door. And you go through, game complete. Now, if you've got level 2, level 3, level 4, screen fades out, load level 2, happy days. But these are demos. They're not full games. It would take months to do, you know, lots and lots of levels. As I said, it's just an empty place. And you can see you look down on all the places going off into the fog. And that's the watchtower. Which is your destination for level 1, and I guess maybe level 2 can maybe kick off with starting at the tower, maybe going higher up, or an helicopter ride, or however it is you want to be. So that I thought was a really good level. It's not just the fact that there's lots of different zombies and slow ones and fast ones and hiding behind and trigger zones and some that explode. The aesthetics are great too, the sounds, the fog and the colour balances, the little tweaks, just to make the atmosphere authentic and creepy. And almost makes you want to carry on working on it, adding some more sound effects and incidentals, maybe a bit of creepy music as you get closer to your destination, things like that. But of course, that's all about what you want to do with your game. These are just demonstrations, as I said, and I think this is a particularly cool one. So that's what I wanted to show you. It's called Foggy Forest. If you're a pre-order user, you can check it out on Friday evening, and just update to the latest version, and you'll find that in the GameGuru MAX hub. So, going back to the level, just to let you know as well, there's lots of other things that's been happening, a lot about performance and optimizing and quicker loading. And also in the AI as well, so in the gameplay for soldiers and improvements for the zombies, aggro, things like that. Again, lots of cool things that you can check out on Friday, but the idea is it's the demos that demonstrate all of those different aspects. So rather than just reading off some boring changelog, you can actually play all the demos and get an idea for the improvements that have been made. So that is the first part of this broadcast, our demo. The second part will be the questions and answers session. If you are not interested in questions and answers, you can hang up now. This was the visual and exciting part of the broadcast. The second part is literally listening to me shunner on. But hopefully you'll find some interesting answers as we go through these questions. So if, I think, Marcek, if you are here, maybe you can throw in a question just to let me know that you're around. And then you can start giving me any of the questions that could not have been answered up until this point. And from this moment on, I'm going to grab the last question. And anyone finds that, hey, wait a minute, where's my question? Just repost it. Just copy and paste it in if Marcek hasn't put one in. So the question goes to School Kid Gaming. Question. Will VR mode still be implemented, and is it possible the engine could run full gun tracking if it's animated scripted for VR tracking? We are planning to do virtual reality, absolutely. Not for the March early access release, but it's definitely on our roadmap. It's an exciting format to present games and experiences in, and we have years of experience doing VR, and we've got a lot of technology under the house technology already. We're just going to make sure it's great before we put it into GameGuru MAX. So yes, you are going to get VR mode at some point. This is a question from Dave Hawkins. So Dave Hawkins is one of our team members and is going to help me find all the questions and hopefully answer a few of them. I'm sure he's done already. So, a question mark at the end. Although I understand the reason why it would be nice to have headshots enabled on zombies, as we know to go to the head could be added as an option like normal soldiers. Yeah, I think... I don't think we do have headshots for zombies. I mean, you've got the insta-kills for the close-up shotgun and the patrol rifle, which are now quite strong. But I know what you mean. If you do a good headshot from a distance, happy days. So maybe someone can post that in the issues board, and we'll put it down as sort of a medium. But as we've already done it for soldiers, it's not a huge stretch to add it into our zombies as well. Here's a question from 3Com. Do we have to bother generating BMP thumbs? No, not in GameGuru MAX. In fact, we have abandoned the idea of a BMP. They're big and they're slow to load. GameGuru MAX will generate all the thumbnails for you. You can obviously provide your own, but GameGuru MAX will generate them on your behalf. All you really need to do is, if we're talking about objects here, an FPE and your model and your textures, and GameGuru MAX will generate the thumbnail for you, and then you can go in and edit that preview and change the backdrop and add some meta tags, etc. So no, you don't need to worry about BMPs anymore. GameGuru Classic users do, but GameGuru MAX users do not. Here's a question: philosophy of game. Are we allowed to use assets from GameGuru MAX in GameGuru Classic? Strange direction to take stuff from Max, pop it back into Classic. For now, I would say no. We can qualify this answer later on when we get more details. But as I understand it, a good chunk of our art was licensed for GameGuru MAX. So we'll need to find out whether that license can extend backwards in time to GameGuru Classic. And if you've got any use scenarios where you think, oh, that's actually a pretty useful idea, then we can continue that discussion. But for now, just assume the answer is no to manage your expectations. Marchek is here. Great, thank you. And this is a question, I guess, from before we started the Q&A session from Skullkid. Gaming VR mode will come in the future. I believe it will be for... Okay, so Marchek adds answering. Hooray! So I'll just look to the end for question marks. Marchek, a question mark here. Although I understand the reason why it would be nice to have headshots enabled on zombies, could be added as an option for normal soldiers. I have already answered that one, Marchek. Thank you very much. Here's a question I don't think I have. What type of map texture support will Max have? PNG, DDS, JPEG, JPG. Those are the three biggies. I would recommend the DDS. It's a DirectX texture format, but it allows you to do lots of different modes, so you can compress those textures based on the use. You wouldn't compress a normal map in the traditional sense, but you certainly would compress something like an emissive map, or something like that. So we would prefer everyone use DDS, but it's not readily available, so you can also use PNG and JPEG if you must. JPEG being the worst. It's the one you use if you can't use anything else. Here's a question from Unboxer. Will there be Android support in the future? No plans to do Android, iOS, Linux, consoles, and other devices. Right now, all of GameGuru MAX is on Windows 10 or above. So if you're interested in what we're presenting today, you will need Windows 10 or above and a decent graphics card to run it. Minimum specifications will be published on the 25th of March. But if you dig around the issues board, you'll probably find an advanced preview of those specs there. Question, this is from Dennis. Can we have in-game cutscene editor? Not for the March early access version. And it's not high on our priorities for the roadmap after March early access. But please do push that forward as an issues board feature request. See if you can garner some support from fellow community members and we'll see what we can do about raising its priority. Here's another question. This is from 3Com. Importer animation tool have left, right, any. What those means to do? I don't really know what that question means. We do have animation tool within the importer, and there are lots of animations that we have provided that work with the character rig that we're currently using for the character creator. And so you'll find lots of animations there. As to how you use them, they're already set up for you. You don't really need to use them, just pop them into your character, and then when you run certain scripts like the zombie script and the soldier script, those scripts actually go out and look for those animation names, and if they find them, they use them. So that's why we've set the names up in a particular way. Here's a question from Dave Hawkins from previous in the demo session. Is there a way to make enemy spawns random? Interesting. Yes, there is, but not out of the box super simple. When I mean out the box super simple, we have a visual logic system where you can literally connect things together. So you could connect a spawnable zombie to a zone, and when you enter the zone, the zombie appears. If you wanted it so you have like 5 zombies and one will randomly spawn from standing in a zone, then you're going to need to do a little bit of extra logic. You can still do that using non-scripting, using the behavior editor, but it's a developer mode feature. It's not something that would advocate everyone jump into straight away. Short answer is yes, you can do it. Longer answer is you're going to have to kind of learn how to do it. But you certainly can do it if you want to. Here's a question from Marcos. Is there anything new you are hiding to show us on the 25th? I think every day from now to the 25th, we're going to put something new in. But generally speaking, look out for more optimization, faster launch and loading times, better AI, and refinements and polish to some of the tools within the software. I think those are the big heavy hitters. But essentially everything that you see in Friday's build for pre-order users is pretty much it. We have all our demos, we have all our built-in tutorials, every button works. So that's pretty much what we're going to go with at the end of March. So check those out and then look forward to really cool announcements for after March. But for that, I shall say no more. Looking for a question, and it's right underneath from Ninetales. Will there be a skull tree function and an editor to make own spells and effects as the sprite based? There isn't going to be a skull tree function. Oh, sorry, skill tree function. Right, know where you're going from that. Yeah, that's going to be in the RPG genre. So this is just shooter. When we start going into the RPG, think of things like inventories, crafting, conversations, stuff like that. That's all going to be of the RPG persuasion. And that'll be after March, so keep an eye out for that one. Another question from 3Com. Can you add to the importer tool some sort of is character, so GG Max knows I'm importing a character? And this is a good idea. Great idea. Add it to the issues board. And I don't know where you get my attention. I'm absolutely knee-deep, eyes deep, really, in AI right now. But that's not a hugely difficult one. In fact, put it on the issues board and assign it to Zach. I think you'll be able to assign it. Can you assign it? I'm not sure. But Zach is a model importer guy, and hopefully we can sneak that in before the 25th of March. Another question, Matt. This is from Retro Game Blow. Is there a preferred format for DDS? GIMP has a lot of options and not sure which one Max uses. Yeah, we do. Well, we used to have DXT1 for the albedo, which was one channel of alpha, one bit of alpha. But since then, I'm sort of out of date because there are even better BC compression formats that we are now using for our textures in GameGuru MAX. So I really don't want to say one thing and it turns out, oh, hey, that's 3 months ago. We've improved it since then. So maybe that's something that you can ask in issues board. If you put it down as an issues board, so it actually gets alerted. Maybe the bug is we haven't documented the formats you should use, i.e. it's a bug in the user manual and the information should be there. Put it on the issues board. We'll get to look at it before the 25th and add that information. So you have the right information to create the textures that you need for your custom media in GameGuru MAX. Okay, this is a question from Bouncy Sky 152, DX12 or Vulkan. Neither. It's DirectX 11. That's what GameGuru MAX engine is currently built on. The good news is because we're using the Wicked Engine graphics engine system, it also supports DX12 and Vulkan. We've not tested against those things because we want widest compatibility, which means, of course, DirectX 11. But down the road, there is absolutely no reason why we cannot experiment, at the very least, with the DX12 and the Vulkan implementations. Because in theory, it's an abstracted graphics engine. You can press a button and suddenly run in DX12 Vulkan. And the main reason you want to do that is you might see some performance improvements in how all of those graphics are being handled to render to the screen. But it's not always the case. In fact, I've seen some upgrades to Vulkan and the end result is slower than DirectX 11, which has had a long time to perfect itself and its drivers. So yeah, keep an eye out for that, but in the future. Here's a question from Zero. Will the character settings and behaviours be more customizable? Over time, yes. We certainly already have that on the issues board to expand that. And there'll be coming a point where the soldier will have so many settings, you may as well want to create a different behaviour with a different set of settings. But I do see a few more happening in the zombie, like the headshot tick box, for example. A few more in the soldiers, because I want soldiers to do more than they do right now, and having that customizable is always very cool. But I do think at some point, let's say instead of a soldier that shoots a gun, it's a soldier that has a big stick, I might be tempted to have a different behaviour for soldier with big stick, with a different set of options. So you don't end up clicking the component and having like a big scrolly of too many settings, because you don't want to scare people off. Maybe there's an advanced mode where you can open up additional settings if you're in the advanced mode or the developer mode. So I'm always keeping an eye out for someone telling me that we've run out of time. I don't think we have. The demo was about 10 to 12 minutes long, and I'd like to dedicate about half an hour to the Q&A, and I'm looking at the clock and we're only 18, 20 minutes in, so I'm going to carry on answering questions until someone presses a big red button. And we don't have a big red button. Here's a question from Jereth. Is there any plans to implement a way for us to add more buttons to screens like the game over, menu screens like continue game button on both screens? There are plans to, yes. The reason why you can only edit and modify what's there is that we wanted to make it a smooth and easy and intuitive process. So we've taken care of, when you click the start game button, we've taken care of the mechanics that will start that game. If you were to be able to create additional buttons, what functionality is it going to do? And there's additional properties you'd have to set and have some knowledge of those mechanisms so those buttons actually do things, which is why it's not in the March EA version. But afterwards, yes, full customization of the screens was always our intention, because it was the big things that was requested in Classic, and we want to make sure that we have a fully rounded editor that allows you to customize those screens, not just the title screens, etc., but the in-game screens as well. Question from Ninetales. Will there be a possibility to import feral models like horses, dogs and so on, and animate them with the integrated animation tool? Well, there isn't really an animation tool in the sense that you can create animations. All you can really do in Max is import an animation, give it a name, and attach it to a model. That's the current capability of the animation tool within GameGuru MAX. But sure, if you had a horse model and it was animating, and maybe the animation files were separate, and you imported it and attached those animations and then dropped it into your world and attached a behavior that animated and controlled that, yeah, you can do that. You could even, instead of using the behavior editor, which is a non-scripting option, you could write in Lua script. In fact, the fish, the birds, and the mammals are all using Lua script, and you can go in and have a look and see how those work. You know, not much difference between a fox and a horse, except for scale. So check out those. They're already in GameGuru MAX. It might give you an opening to start bringing in some of these larger feral creatures. Here's a question from Dave Hawkins from earlier. Will map textures support PBR? They already are PBR to a point. In fact, every single surface that has a texture is inherently physically based rendered. It's one system. Everything, all the lighting applies that PBR principle to everything. If there's something specific that you want to see in your terrain texture, please post that perhaps as a feature request in the issues board. We're pretty happy with the level of detail in the textures, but down the road after March, we are going to open up the possibility of custom terrain textures, and you might want the full PBR set, so let us know why you would want an emissive texture, for example, when you paint your terrain down. I've got a few ideas, but I'd like to hear yours. Okay, another question. This is from KC Productions. Will you make the AI and player movements smoother and nicer blending between the animations? Yeah, that's an ongoing process. It's smooth enough, but I agree there is room for improvement in the transitions between animations, the smoothness of the player weapon HUD. There's a little tweak that I've still to make on that. And the player itself, the player camera, how the player moves, how the camera moves when the player moves. That, I think, can also be a little bit smoother. So keep an eye out for that up to 25, but also it's an iterative process. So we're going to continue to work on that level of refinement until you start to feel that quality oozing out of animations and the movement and making sure it's nice and slick. Is this a question? Yes, it is a question. This is from Zorgo. Any chance on dialogue choices that can change something, like trigger something by a choice in the same logic like switches and buttons, but the source of an event will be a specific choice? Yeah, that will be done when we do the RPG. I see things like the sort of multiple choice in terms of the dialogue being there. As to, 8 levers that you're going to lever in the right order to open a door or something, that's the puzzle genre. That's the next one we do after RPG. Or, equally likely, we work on RPG and puzzle at the same time. There will be a lot of crossover, as indeed there is crossover with the shooter genre. So keep an eye out for that after March. Here's a question from John. Any plans of adding folders to organise your game assets better? Not on our roadmap. As you see, we've actually been able to see some very large levels now without the need for this sort of asset management. I presume you mean as asset management within your level. So if you've dropped in, for example, 2,000 objects in your level, maybe you want to organise those into folders and subfolders and subfolders, etc., instead of just being all in one big root. We do have the detailed object list, which you'll find in the advanced settings in order to get at an object straight away. But if you want to elaborate on exactly how you see this feature work and what use case scenarios, that would help us make that decision and maybe put it on the roadmap and give it some sort of priority. Here's a question from KC Productions. Will there be a detailed tutorial on how to use our character in FPX and use it on your skeleton in order to be imported and ready to use? Oh, yeah. There will be some template files and a guide on how to prepare both weapons and characters and bring them into GameGuru MAX so they work. The idea of getting some other character and then mapping it onto our rig, that's a little bit more involved. That's where you get straight into the realms of technical artist, and you need a few extra skills to find out how everything connects and imports correctly, and it is a bit of a dark art. We will be providing guides which get you started, and I think probably add some FAQs onto the end of those guides as worthy questions come in, so we can expand that knowledge base. But it will just be sort of low-hanging fruit for the first version of these guides. But we certainly have plans to educate those who want to go to that next level and create the next level of custom media, and potentially even media that will be included in a future version of GameGuru MAX. If we like the output, we want it part of the universe. Here's a question asked before. Thank you, Marchek. You can add folders in the Max files and CSS folders and organise your files. Yeah, that's if you wanted to organise, let's say you've got your own assets, like your own object library. Yes, you can go into the entity bank and organise them there. That's different than organising assets that are already
distributed inside the level that you're making at a particular time, the level you're painting. So here's some questions. I think we're getting to the end actually. I'm at 3 questions left, and they're all from Blender High School. Fall off will be a feature in texture paint of the terrain. So will it? Oh, great. Materials divisions are too sharp. I don't really know what material divisions are. If you mean like if you've got 2 terrain textures meeting up side by side, and one's grass and one's ice, yeah, there's not much fade between. But as you saw in this level in the Foggy Forest, if you choose the correct terrain textures, you get some extremely good blending between the terrain textures. It's really about, as an artist or as a level designer, what you choose to put down in your level. Be that painting a terrain or putting 2 objects next to each other. Another question, can we import external characters and their animations? Sure, you can go to the model importer, FBX, GLTF or OBJ for static ones. Boatsy Sky asks, will it be possible for a game to have more than 1 server to run in total? Right now in the EA version, which is being released at the end of March, there's no servers because there's no multiplayer in the EA version. Discussions on exactly what will be in the multiplayer version will take place after March. As you can imagine, my brain cells are now irrevocably dedicated to completing AI, optimization, and having a great stable version on the 25th of March. Here's a question from Invest with Mr. Corey. How do graphics, Luke? Will graphics for game be better? Well, if you've tuned into the first part of this broadcast, you've just seen the graphics. And tune into all previous broadcasts for other demos that we've demonstrated. There are no plans to make the graphics better than the 9 demos that we have for the EA version, but if you have any specific suggestions, absolutely feel free to post it in the issues board and we will take a look. If you've got any great ideas how we can go up another notch, we're always ready to listen and to apply that if it's humanly possible. Okay, another question mark. Will there be improvements to Sky on the 25th? No. The Sky's as is, weather is as is, graphics as is, functionality as is, demos as is, built-in tutorials as is. For your playing on Friday, aside from more polish and tweaking, that is the 25th of March release. Plenty more things planned after that, but as you can imagine, the internal team has a singular vision now to get this 25th of March out the door, and hopefully you'll like it. Question, is volumetric lighting possible? We have volumetric particles in that it's actually rendered nicely, not just a flat decal, and there's lots of them and they work really well. Volumetric lighting, I do believe there is some volumetric lighting in the Wicked engine, but we haven't exposed it in Max. Maybe we'll do some experiments after March to see whether that's possible. But I'd like to elaborate on exactly what you mean by volumetric lighting. It's quite a broad scope, and if we implement one version, it's like, no, that's not what I meant at all. Maybe some screenshots, or even better, a video of a game that actually does it really well, so we can actually see it. It's like, right, now I know what you mean. What is your high break at snooker? Great question. It's pretty good, actually. I think it was something like 40 summer. 40, 50. And I never did it again. So, alright, maybe not that big. But that means you've potted at least like 6 balls in a row. Which I think is pretty impressive for me. I'm a pool player, basically. Okay, here's a question from Marcos. When can we create inventory? When we do the RPG genre. So keep an eye out for when we talk about RPG. You rest assured we are working on inventories, collecting things, putting it in your inventory, using those objects later on in the game. Invest in Mr. Corey, also multiplayer. Will multiplayer support be added like servers so you can join at lobby? We have been talking about multiplayer for after March, but we are still to refine and finalise our roadmap. So I don't want to commit conversations about multiplayer today, but let's have that conversation in a future broadcast after March because I'll have more clarity then. Another question from Jareth. Are there any plans for adding more skyboxes or tutorials on how to add custom skyboxes? Yes, we are going to add more skyboxes. I think it's great. It's easy to source and we add them, but we also kind of want to support custom skyboxes, which was the second part of your question. At some point, we want you to be able to bring anything in of each of the components, whether it's sky or grass or terrain or objects or sounds, whatever it is. A lot of them we already let you do that, but there's certain areas we wanted to control for the EA version. But yeah, we do see the need that you want to, if you can create that asset We want to let you import that custom media easily and quickly. Okay, next question. Problems with Win11.
Windows 11. Yeah, we are testing on Windows 10 right now. We think we've got some quick tests on 11, but we're supporting Windows 10 out of the box. So if you've got Windows 11 and you're a bit nervous, bear with us on that one. It should work with the correct drivers, should be fine. Forward, backward compatibility, Windows 10, Windows 11, it's all good. But if there are problems, put them on the issues board. We'll boot up our Windows 11 OS and we'll see if we can reproduce it at our end. Here's another question from Blender High School. Will there be a way to change player during the game? For example, a character can transform into something other. Well, it's a first-person perspective. So you could just say in some narrative, you are now a three-headed player.
Because you can't see the player, you can call yourself whatever you want. It's a first-person perspective. But perhaps you meant something a little bit more visceral. But yeah, the player can be a personification of whatever you want your protagonist to be. Here's a question. Hey Lee, some news about multiplayer. See previous answer. Andy, will GameGuru MAX games be multilingual in text and audio in the future? I mean, the player can change the language in the game.
You can change the text in the game. We have given you access to be able to change that text. But we haven't, the March EA version, we haven't actually got the translation kit ready. We are planning to do a translation kit so we can make not just the games that you create, but the whole software multilingual, and have a kit available publicly. So if there's a language that you want support but it's not there, you can get the kit, translate, test it, give us the package files, we drop them into a future version of Max, and then that language is supported. And as you can imagine, along the way, as we're doing the translation kit, we also need to make sure that the games are translatable, specifically the text. So you've got international text, and it's not just ASCII. You'll have the proper Unicode and the fonts you'd need in order to render that language properly. And the last question, I've probably asked this one before, will there be a way to make plugins for Max? Not for the March EA version, but I do like the idea that you can do plugins. You can already do behaviors, create a script, call it a behavior, give it a thumbnail, drop it into the community, and the community can use that. It's kind of like a plugin, but I know what you mean. You're talking about actual C code inside the editor that you've written, and the editor can pick that up and run it, maybe to enhance the editor, maybe to enhance one of the tools, maybe to add a new tool right into GameGuru MAX. We haven't got any strong priorities on our roadmap for that, but I do like the idea of it, so perhaps we can carry on with that conversation. And I think that's the last question. Any more questions that are asked? No, it's too late. I got to the very end and I answered all the questions. Never really done that before. Maybe a handful of times in over 80 broadcasts. So thanks very much for all your questions. I hope you're happy with the answers. 9 days to go until release, which means next Wednesday at 7 PM GMT there will be another broadcast where this software improved over 7 days and you get to see what's going to be released for early access 2 days. So when we broadcast on a Wednesday, you're going to get the final early access version on a Friday. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So please do join us next Wednesday at 7 PM GMT, where I'm happy to answer more of your questions and showcase some more of the almighty and cool GameGuru MAX. So until next week, I shall say goodbye.